Welcome to Live Vedanta, a podcast about simple living and high thinking. In each episode, we're exploring insights on courageous caregiving, derived from the text Vibhishana Gita and explored through the discourses of Sri Vivek Gupta, the resident guide of Chinmaya Mission, Cleveland, Niagara. Brahmacharya, or non-indulgence, involves maintaining a sattvic state by avoiding excessive comfort and staying physically active with mindful practices. It encourages using convenience as a tool, not a trap. Asteya, or non-arrogating, goes beyond not stealing to also include humility, acknowledging that we are part of a greater whole. Let's tune in to learn more.
Hari Om, and greetings from Niagara Falls. Last year, I realized more than ever that in our community, I am the most significant bottleneck. I slow matters down in terms of serving. And so last year, I facilitated a training called Seeker to Facilitator to help seekers be more confident, almost in representing me when it comes to retreats and camps and workshops and so on. This training was refined this year by focusing on our Balavar teachers who are teaching me second and third generation. People like me being the second generation, people like my kids being the third generation. I've observed, many others have observed, that our Balavar teachers can be trained better. They can be more organized, they can be more systematic, they can be more passionate. So this past year, I've been training 61 teachers in a training called Enhanced Seva Training. How do you relate to the second and third generation, both culturally and in terms of age? Now, many are going to be graduating within the next month. And so in this upcoming month, I'm meeting with all of our teachers individually. So now contemplation is over. So at 5 a.m., 5:30 a.m., and 6 a.m., I meet 3 teachers every morning. In a recent interaction with a teacher, in our one-with-one, she was sharing with me how confusing it is in terms of expectations between her and her partner's family, her in-laws. So she was sharing this with me. She was feeling depleted about this, that she has expectations, they have expectations, they're not aligning. So what I shared with her, in our culture, yoga is integral to being happy every day. That way you can train to be happy forever. Now, how can you be happy every day? It is only possible when you're releasing your personal best. Today, if you experience your personal best, you had a great day. Tomorrow, if you release your personal best, you will have a great day. But the one point I really wanted to bring to her attention is, when it comes to secular matters, like professional matters or financial matters, quite often a solution lasts forever. If you have student debt and you pay off that student debt, then you're not going to have student debt anymore. That matter is done. But when it comes to parenting, caregiving, and so on, there's no permanent solutions. Challenges are dynamic. And so our release of personal best has to be dynamic also. When one accepts this, they stop being as tired. I find that we tend to tire ourselves out more than our kids do or the world does because of not understanding relationships specifically. So parenting culture is a dynamic space to help us accept that we have to be dynamic when it comes to parenting, caring, understanding, and so on. We're continuing to explore Sri Rama's arrows. The section of arrows that we're on right now are the yamas or don'ts. The first yama we explored is ahimsa. In English, non-harming. As I was reflecting on this today, a way that we harm those we're caring for, knowingly and unknowingly, is by rewarding excellence instead of effort. When we reward excellence, we're rewarding that which is short term. We're rewarding that which is context dependent. But when we reward effort, it is long term then. It is content dependent. If I'm proud of my sister for trying her best, she can always try her best. It's in her control. But if I'm proud of my other sister because she got a promotion, one day she's not going to get the promotion. One day someone better than her is going to take her job, as an example. So for us to be vigilant, not to harm ourselves or others by focusing on excellence, but rather focusing on effort. The next value, this is value 22, was aparigraha, in English, non-possessing. Non-possessing. And I gave you the visualization from the Bhagavad Gita. You have a choice to follow the path of the moon, which is the path of valuables, or the path of the sun, which is a path of values. As long as we follow the path of the moon, we are going to be cultivating dependence. The more I live for valuables, the more dependent I'm going to become. And really, that is anti-parenting. If you think of the one wish, if you can ask the original parent for one wish for your kids, your grandkids, anyone you care for, it would be for them to be independent. Agreed? How many of you agree with what I'm sharing? You just want the people around you to be independent. Then be independent. Don't live for valuables. It's anti-parenting. We just have to catch our own hypocrisy. We continue into value 23. This is the third yama. In our workbook, I don't think this is the order, and that's all right. I also teach in a dynamic way, the way I feel is best for this space. This yama or value is called Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya. In English, non-indulgence. Non-indulgence. I'm not fond when people describe this as celibacy. None of us would be here if everyone practiced celibacy, correct? There would be no Pujaswami Chinmayananda. There would be no Devi Meera. It is non-indulgence. Trying to open this up some. Indulgence is when we start to fall in our gunas or qualities. Suppose I'm feeling sattvic right now. I'm feeling quiet. Then I'm engaged in that which is making me feel rajasic or aggressive. Whatever I'm doing is indulgence. And the same goes if I'm aggressive and now I'm feeling laziness. Again, more indulgence. So whenever there's a fall, then I know that I'm engaged in an indulgence instead of a parameter. Now, a way to try to practice this with ourselves, with our families, is to be physically active. How many of you would describe yourself as being physically active by show of hands? I see 50% or less in terms of hands up. Now, for those who don't have their hands up, some may have physical ailments, some. But I would say the majority who don't have their hands up would share, it's because I have too much to do. You're saying that now. But if you don't engage in being physically active, fast forward 5, 10, 15, 20 years, what's going to happen is your body is going to slow you down so much more. So you're feeling this is a short-term gain, but it's a long-term loss. Be physically active. And the best, and I've shared it so many times, is try to associate physical activity with something that is more meaningful to you, like engaging in japa. For me, it's preparing for discourses. And then if you can do this as a family, even better. We have 2 bikes in our home, and now we're looking to buy 2 more bikes. We have 2 hockey sticks in our home. Then Sheila bought 2 more hockey sticks. So the point is now, before the kids go to school, our neighbor gave us a net, so we just pass the Mylick ball around. Correct? It's just something that we're doing together that puts us outside and we're being physically active. As I'm going through these yamas, I've added one more component that relates to environmentalism, because this is the same program we're going through with our Loving Earth Sangha. When it came to Brahmacharya, what I had shared in our workshop was, and I have shared this with all of you before, to distinguish convenience and comfort. Those who are environmentalists, they do have conveniences in their life. They have that as a means for them to live the ends. But for those who are not environmentally sensitive, they have comforts in their life. That comfort is the ends for them. And that naturally is an expression of indulgence. And there's lots of examples of this. The one I was thinking about today is shoes. Does anyone, you take that back, does anyone thoughtful really care what brand of shoes you have? Does anyone thoughtful really care what your shoes look like? If the brand of shoes is of a higher quality that protects your feet so you can be physically active, that's a convenience then. But if those shoes are not helping you be more physically active, not helping you be more safe, then that's a comfort. Makes sense. Being so transparent, when I was in Boston in September, I did buy $150 US shoes, which is to me super expensive, but I use them all the time and my feet are important, just like yours are. Just like yours are. So for me, that is not a comfort, that is a convenience. Fair? Another way to think about this, and I'll talk about this more in Meaningful Mornings, is food. Food is a functionality. It is not a fundamental aspect of your day or life. Functionality. Okay. We continue into the 24th value. It is really awesome that we're in class 28. And almost every class we have invested in an independent value. The only reason why we don't have 28 values is we went through reviews. We went through the happiness series and so on. Value 24 is subtle. In Sanskrit, that is Asteya. Asteya. Giving you some context. In the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 3, Shri Krishna shares, those who consume more than they produce, he calls them stenas. A stena is a thief. That's a strong description of someone who's a liability to the world rather than an asset. So Asteya in a very low bar way means non-stealing. Now, if I were to ask all of you by show of hands, what did you steal this month? Please share in the chat. What did you steal this month? You ate 2 cookies, even though you were entitled to 1, correct? Do you think Chitragupta and the law of karma is going to punish you for that? I'm watching a documentary on Netflix right now called The Playlist. It's on Spotify. And when I was in university, I was a Napster fiend. I used Napster so much, and I did it well. I organized songs and folders. I had 2,500 songs. People used to come for me for my Napster collection. But as I became more aware of really, I'm just stealing. And as someone who likes music and likes live music, I really came to realize that I'm stealing right now. And that's why when people share, you should get IPTV. And if you feel you're being judged right now, then it's true. I don't support that because there are people who put in so much time and effort to create these shows and these movies. So non-stealing is a very low bar. We're defining Asteya as non-arrogating. Arrogating. Arrogance is when you're presenting yourself as having done something that you've actually not done. You have done something that you've actually not done. And this is specifically in the context of doership. Doership is where one forgets the whole because they think they're the whole. But if you remember the whole, at most we can be a part. We are a part in this whole. And I've given you that casual example of I was teaching my kids about the qualities of Bhagwan Hanumana, and I was asking my kids, who do you think that is buddhi? They're smart. And bala, they're strong. And both of these boys said themselves. They're the strongest people they know. They're the smartest people they know. Such arrogance. See what thieves they are. And my point is because they're kids. But if they start to meet people who are so much stronger and so much smarter, then they'll realize they're just a part in this whole. So now a way we can practice this in a tactile way is to live in Appreciation City. Sim City is about a whole simulation on building a city, correct? Lego City. Everything in that space and time relates to Lego. Try to create your home or your lifestyle as Appreciation City, where everything that you get to experience, to be appreciative of this, of tap water, of sidewalks, of education, shampoo, toothbrushes, grandparents, history, culture, air, etc. The more appreciative one is, the more one establishes I am a part of the whole, and so one doesn't arrogate then. Now, connecting this to environmentalism, it is something we can certainly do as a family. We had a workshop just last night about greenwashing. How many of you know what greenwashing is, by show of hands? It's where one is describing this as being environmentally sound, but really it's not. It's token environmentally sound. So how can one avoid greenwashing? Simple living. When you live in simplicity, it's easier to manage integrity. If you go to your fridge right now and you have 100 things in your fridge, it's hard to keep track of what's getting old, correct? But if you've just come back from Bharat and you just went to the grocery store, so how many things do you have in your fridge? Other than all the pickles, you have 10 varieties of pickles. Now you just have basic items. There's some milk, some bread, some bananas and stuff like that. It's so easy to see what's getting old now, correct? See how that simplicity helps you to manage integrity. So live simply And one will know this is good for the environment or this is not good for the environment. But in a complex way, you can't manage that. We just think it's good for the environment when it's not. We have one more yama to go. And then we'll transition to our niyamas, which are the do's. The don'ts are easier. As much as we don't like don'ts, but they are easier. The do's are harder. A do like shaucha, being organized. Tough. So we have more arrows to explore.
If you enjoyed what you heard or want to learn more, share this episode with a friend or find us online at facebook.com/cmniagara. For those on the journey of self-development, Chinmaya Mission Niagara provides a community forum for seekers to listen, reflect, and contemplate. This podcast is produced by the Young Adults of Chinmaya Mission, an international nonprofit working to transform individuals through the knowledge of Vedanta. Until next time, inspire, love, be.